In Tafresh Peiches, 1927, after the Frierdiker Rebbe was freed from prison for the crime of spreading Yiddishkeit, he set out to leave Russia. The government, however, did not want him to take his library along with him. The Frierdiker Rebbe was emphatic that he would not leave Russia unless he was able to take every single sefer with him. Finally, the government agreed. After moving to Latvia and then to Poland, where he lived for 6 years, the Frierdiker Rebbe expanded the library. During those years, he formally designated it as the Library of Agudas Chasidei Chabad. Then World War II broke out. The Frierdiker Rebbe had to flee the Holocaust. It was not possible to hold on to the precious library while he was making his way to safety. The library had to be left behind, with someone appointed to safeguard it. However, even through those trying times, the Frierdiker Rebbe would not let go of one very special large suitcase. Yes, the suitcase was filled with special ksavim, particularly those of his father, the Rebbe Rashab. As well, the suitcase had a very special siddur, the siddur that belonged to the Baal Shem Tov. He carried this suitcase with him at all times. Upon his arrival in America, the Frierdiker Rebbe set out to rescue the library from Poland. "This collection is the treasure of the people," wrote the Frierdiker Rebbe. He succeeded in bringing over most of the library, but a lot of Sfarim and Ksavim were lost. After many attempts and searching for the Ksavim, eventually their whereabouts were discovered, and in Tafshin Lamed Ches, 1977, 38 years after their disappearance, they were returned to our Rebbe. But then, in Tafshin Memhei, 1985, someone began selling some of these holy Sepharim. This information came to one of the Hasidim from a person who sold old books and manuscripts, a person who was a rare book stealer. Someone offered me some Sepharim to sell on his behalf. I recognize these Sepharim are from the Frierdiker Rebbe's library. Is it possible that books from the Rebbe's library would be up for sale? He asked the Chassid. Surely not. Who would sell anything that belonged to any of the Rabbeim? Exclaimed the Chassid. Who could be selling the Sepharim, and why? We must investigate. The man who had been selling the Sepharim was a grandson of the Frierdiker Rebbe. He knew that selling these Sepharim could bring him a lot of money. Many were handwritten and one-of-a-kind Sepharim. There are no other copies anywhere. That would make each sefer very precious, worth thousands of dollars. He already sold a very old precious Haggadah that was among the books in the library. He sold it for nearly $70,000. That's like the price of 2 cars. And there were hundreds of such precious old Sepharim. He could make millions of dollars. So an appointed group of Hasidim, the committee of Agudas Chasidei Chabad, talked to this man. These Sepharim are holy Sepharim, they exclaimed. Our Rabbeim owned them and learned in them. But this man's mind would not change. This library belonged to my grandfather, he said. I am his heir, and part of the library belongs to me, he said matter-of-factly. This man thought of the Sepharim as his own personal possessions. He saw the Frierdiker Rebbe only as his grandfather, and not for the Rebbe that he really was. Now our Rebbe took this very much to heart. These Sepharim are the Sepharim of my father-in-law the Rebbe, he said. They are the life of the Rebbe, and they have the Rebbe's Kedusha in them. When the Frierdiker Rebbe's daughter, Rebbetzin Chaim Mushka, the Rebbe's wife of blessed memory, was asked to whom did she think the library belongs, she said strongly, my father and the library belong to the Hasidim. Surely the Rebbe would have preferred resolving this in Beis Din, But this man didn't want to go to Beis Din. He thought he'd be more successful in a secular court of law. So the Torah says that when one party refuses to go to Beis Din, the disagreement may be resolved in a secular court. Anything that can be done to make sure that these holy Sfarim are not desecrated had to be done, even going to court. So on Yud Tes Kislev, Tuf Shin Mem Vav, it was the winter of 1985, the court case began. The Rebbe went to the Oyel of the Frierdiker Rebbe almost every single day. Hasidim throughout the world said special Tehillim. They gave extra tzedakah, learned Chassidus and charged. Hasidim even davened in the form of a niggin, singing the words from the Medrash, Didan Notzach, victory is ours, to a familiar tune. At Farbrengens, this was sung with great enthusiasm. This was on the minds and in the hearts of the Rebbe, the Rebbetzin, and all the Hasidim, all the time. The trial lasted for 23 days, but then it took almost a year until the judge issued his ruling. It was 11:30 in the morning on Hei Teves Taf Shin Mem Zayin, and the judge issued his decision. The Rebbe's library belongs to the Hasidim, as the Frierdiker Rebbe wrote that this is the library of Agudas Chasidei Chabad. Didan Natzach, victory. It's hard to put into words the great feelings that overtook everyone. It was as the Hasidim were not a bunch of individuals, but one single unit, having all waited for this day for so long, and knowing that our Rebbe was at peace. The feeling was overwhelming. Bachrim spilled onto the street in front of 770. Within moments, tens and then hundreds of Hasidim crowded the streets. Married men had run home to change into their kapatas. It was Yantif, Didan Natzach. Everyone was dancing, singing, Didan Natzach, making l'chaim, doing kulas, somersaults. The atmosphere was electric. Chabad musicians played their instruments enthusiastically. It was an intense and exceptional moment. On the following day, the Rebbe said that anyone who had a request should write it into him, and he would take it to the Oyel. Thousands upon thousands of letters and faxes from all over the world kept coming into any available fax machine in the proximity of 770. And indeed, requests were granted, and great miracles happened then. This celebration went on for a full week, as Lubavitch was celebrating all over the world.